Think about the last 6 months. How many times have you heard phrases like, "This happened for a reason," "The universe hears you," "Raise your vibration," or "Send out your manifestation"? And who told you these things? An app, a podcast, an influencer, a book, a retreat, an online course. Behind this rhetoric lies a $376 billion global market. That's the 2024 data for spiritual services alone. This video isn't a critique of that market. This video is the answer to one question. Does this massive industry exist to satisfy humanity's need for meaning, or to prey upon it? And why is the distinction between the two crucial? Part 2. The meaning gap. Why now? First, we have to be honest. The human search for meaning is a legitimate need. Traditional religious institutions have dissolved or lost their credibility. Community bonds have weakened. Big cities have isolated us. Digital life has accelerated. Under these conditions, people began to ask, who am I? Why am I here? Does this pain carry any weight? These questions aren't fake. They've been asked throughout every period of history, and every era produced answers in philosophy, religion, art, and community. But now, something different is answering these questions. An industry. According to the World Health Organization, 970 million people suffered from a mental health issue in 2022. This figure directly fueled the demand for spiritual wellness. The industry meets this demand, but how? Not by helping us understand the pain, but by making it easier to live with it. This distinction is at the heart of this video. Let's look at what the spiritual services market actually sells. Meditation apps, yoga retreats, energy healing sessions, astrology readings, tarot, manifestation coaching, crystal sets, personal development certifications, online spiritual courses. What is the common promise of these products? Inner transformation, connection with the universe, becoming the author of your own destiny, raising your frequency, activating the law of attraction. The market for these promises is expected to reach $186 billion in 2025 and $254 billion by 2034. Apps alone. Headspace generated $195 million in revenue in 2023. 65% of millennials and Gen Z are actively spending money on spiritual wellness. Now let's look at the biggest narrative within this industry: manifestation. The historical roots of this rhetoric date back to 1910. Wallace Wattles' book, The Science of Getting Rich, claimed, "Through creative thought, you can access a psychic power in the universe, and this power turns your desires into reality." In 1952, Norman Vincent Peale repackaged the same idea as the power of positive thinking. In 2006, Rhonda Byrne turned it into a global phenomenon with The Secret. In 2023, it was reborn on TikTok as Lucky Girl Syndrome. 113 years, 3 different packages, the same fundamental structure. Think right, emit the right frequency, and the universe will reward you. Part 4. The Psychology of Manifestation, What It Says versus What It Hides. A peer-reviewed psychology study published in 2024, involving 1,023 participants, measured the belief in manifestation. The findings were fascinating. Strong believers in manifestation did indeed feel more successful. They looked toward the future with more optimism. However, the same group was more prone to risky financial behaviors, Their bankruptcy rates were higher, and they had a more pronounced tendency toward unrealistic expectations of success. Researchers concluded, manifestation doesn't attract success. It inflates the perception of success and justifies risk. But that isn't the critical question. The critical question is this: how does this rhetoric explain failure? You got sick. You lost your job. You were subjected to violence. You were born into poverty. How does manifestation rhetoric interpret this? You didn't think correctly enough. Your frequency was low. Your karma attracted it. The universe was teaching you a lesson. The ideological function of this interpretation is crystal clear. Structural responsibility evaporates. Unemployment stops being an economic policy issue. It becomes a personal frequency issue. Poverty stops being a wealth distribution issue. It becomes a debt of karma. Violence stops being a societal structure issue. It becomes a spiritual lesson. Harper's Bazaar wrote the following about lucky girl syndrome. It completely ignores systemic inequalities and structural discrimination. Life isn't fair, but this rhetoric acts as if it is. Part 5. From Marx to Today, the New Form of Opium. In 1844, Karl Marx wrote the following on religion.
Religious suffering is, at one and the same time, the expression of real suffering and a protest against real suffering. Religion is the sigh of the oppressed creature, the heart of a heartless world, and the soul of soulless conditions. It is the opium of the people.
This sentence is very often misunderstood. Marx wasn't simply labeling religion as bad. He was saying that religion expresses real pain. But expressing pain is not the same as changing the source of the pain. A painkiller meets a real need, but it doesn't cure the disease. At this juncture, let's project this framework onto the present day. The $376 billion market of the modern spiritualism industry serves the function Marx described, but in a much more sophisticated way today. In the 19th century, it came from the pulpit. Today, it comes from podcasts, Instagram, TikTok, and the App Store. In the 19th century, they said, "You will find justice in the next world." Today, they say, "Raise your frequency, and the universe will reward you." The structural similarity between the two is striking. Both define the pain. Both offer an individual solution. Both leave out structural responsibility. And both generate massive commercial value from this function. Let me summarize what I've said in this video. The human search for meaning is legitimate. I do not belittle this need. But the fact that this need has transformed into a $376 billion industry, and that the answers provided by this industry share a structural common denominator, that common denominator is this: the source of the problem is within you. Seek the solution there as well. Do not look at the system. This message might comfort you. It might blame you. It might push you to buy more products. But it doesn't turn you into someone who questions the structure or tries to change society. When Marx defined the opium of the people, he also said, "Criticism has plucked the imaginary flowers from the chain, not in order that man shall continue to bear that chain without fantasy or consolation, but so that he shall throw off the chain and pluck the living flower." The question I want to leave you with is this: does the spiritual practice or teaching you turn to make you stronger against the system? Or does it make you at peace with the system, compatible with the system, and resigned to it? The difference between the two tells you what a teaching is truly giving you. Leave your answer in the comments.